Yes, we're going to start. Good afternoon, everyone. So, in today's topic, we are going to discuss about policyholders' rights of assignment, nomination, and transfer. Okay, here we're talking about the insurance policy, that is life insurance policy. If you are policyholder, then you have your own rights as a owner of that policy. You have some rights, that is, you can assign your policy to someone. Okay, or you can just donate your policy to some trust or something. Okay, or you can nominate a person who is going to be a beneficiary when any uncertain event happens with you. So nominee is going to get those benefits. And we have got even transfer of policy from one person to another person. You can even transfer your ownership. Okay, so depending on different situations, we have got unit number 2, which focuses on mainly about the policy holder. Okay, so let's see briefing about it. When you say insurance policy, there are two people involved in the process. One is insurer and insured. We know this. Insurer and insured. Insurer is the insurance company, and insured is the person who is going to be the rider of the policy, the person who is willing to purchase the policy. So based on his proposal, the insurance company is going to give a confirmation whether they have accepted or rejected the proposal which has been given by an individual, by a customer, okay, by a person who's interested in purchasing the policy. So depending on the agreement and depending on the premium amount, the policy will get activated. Okay, there'll be some tenure that will be defined. So in that tenure, monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, yearly, quarterly, daily, so the premium amount will be paid. Okay, so premium is the primary input which is considered that both the parties have got into an agreement and they are interested. They have got interested. Okay, one is ready to give you the policy, other one is ready to accept the policy. Then only the agreement is considered to be genuine. Agreement is considered to be accepted. Okay, and it proceeds further and it is active. Any point of time, if the premium is not paid, there are some conditions given. We're going to discuss about those conditions where the policy will get lapsed. We are going to see that. Okay, then we have got a particular purpose for having that policy. Okay, so there'll be a defined event which occurs. For example, death of the insured. One person is going to die. Okay, you might have a question. What if the insurance person dies? Insurance is not an individual. It is the company, that is insurance company, which is ready to give you the policy for the risk factor which is going to come across to your family members in case you die. Okay, so insurer is basically a company. So there is not an individual person. The company is going to give you a support. Okay, so as it is the company, only the document will be there with the insurance company which proves that okay, the person has accepted the terms and conditions and is paying the premium. So it is not necessary that the agent should be there alive till end of the policy. No, it is owner who has to be alive. Okay, so an event is focused here, that is death of the insured, not the death of insurer. Okay, so coming to assignment, which is nothing but transferring the rights of the transferor. Okay, so transferring the rights of the transferor is nothing but assignment. Now, for example, if you consider a simple example, okay, I said so and so question is important, okay, and it is going to be your assignment to write it on a paper. So what am I doing here? I'm just transferring the right, okay, that is my right about the question, which was my question, I'm giving it to you. I'm telling you to work on it. So I'm the one who's transferor and you're the one who's transferee. Transferor and transferee, or we can say it has been assigned. Okay, it has been assigned. Transferor and transferee will be associated in this process. Okay, so assignment is something which is given by a superior person to the one who may be having a willingness to accept it or to reject it. Okay, so assignee, okay, the person, it can be a person or it can be an institution, it can be a trust, okay, or it can be anything, or an orphanage, or it can be anything. Once it is given, okay, once your what do you say, the ownership or the right is being given, it cannot be cancelled by the assigner. Okay, assume that if I'm giving something to you, okay, I cannot take it back. Just like you're just what do you say, taking 100 rupees what you have and you're putting it into a temple's hundi. Once it is donated, there is no chance of getting it back. Only in one condition, that is if it is reassigned. Okay, the point number 3, it says about reassigned by the assignee in favor of assigner. Okay, now for example, the pujari, if he comes out and says that by mistake I have dropped 100 rupees in the hundi, now it is the willingness of the assignee, that is the pujari, that if he considers, then he is going to return it to you, or else he will not return it to you. Okay, so remember that it has to be reassigned by the assignee in favor of whom? In favor of assigner. So if I'm the owner and if I'm giving something to you, okay, and I can take it back, okay, only provided if some conditions are there. So there are 2 types of assignment. Number 1 is conditional assignment and number 2 is absolute assignment. Absolute is giving it without expecting it to be returned. Okay, whereas in case of conditional assignment, you give it and after sometimes it comes back to you. Now for example, one of my friend, he has asked me for a hand loan. Okay, hand loan in the sense some money he has asked, so that is called as not loan, it is called as hand loan. So hand loan does not have any interest. Okay, as it is given by friend, there is no interest. Okay, but there is a condition involved in it. I said, okay, I'll give it to you, but you have to return me by 1st of next month. So it's a conditional assignment where I'm expecting that it will be returned back to me. Whereas in case of absolute assignment, let's say mother is giving 100 rupees as pocket money to you. Okay, so once it is given, it is absolutely given to you. Okay, you don't have to return it back to your mother. So it is something like absolute assignment. So you've got conditional assignment and we have got absolute assignment. These are the 2 types of assignments which comes into consideration when it comes to your life insurance policy. Okay, okay, now let's proceed further. Now reassignment scenario 1, this is with an example. Let's say you have got something like a claim during a lapse period of time. Okay, assume that you're considering a situation where you're supposed to pay around 5 lakhs. Okay, you're supposed to pay 5 lakhs maybe for a tenure for which we are going to get back the return. Okay, and you're paying that 5 lakhs in form of premiums. Okay, so if you have a what do you say, a life insurance policy, and if it is not lapsed means you're regularly paying it. Assume that you paid it for 2 years. Okay, so let us consider that 5,000 for 2 years you paid. Okay, 5,000 for 2 years, that is 5,000 into 2, it is coming to 10,000. So total payment that you made is 10,000. Your policy sum assured is 5 lakhs, whereas you paid only 10,000. This happened for a duration of 2 years. That means monthly you're paying, let's say per year you're paying 5,000. That is what it means. Okay, and if you consider this, okay, for 2 years you have paid and you were not able to pay the premium amount for a duration of 6 months. 1 year it is 5,000, half of it is 2,500. Okay, So 2,500 you are not able to pay. This is in condition where you are already paid 2 years, okay, of premium. So 2.5 you've not paid 6 months, and what happened is like the event occurred. So it is not paid within 6 months. There is a death that occurs. A person is dead who was a policy holder. Then what happens in that case? What they will do is they calculate. So 2,500 is not paid, plus there is interest that is included. Let us say 500 rupees interest is added. It becomes 3,000. So out of 5 lakhs, this 3,000 is deducted. And whatever is the balance left, that will be given. Now in this case, it is 4 lakhs 97,000. Okay, 4 lakhs 97,000. It is considered that around 3,000 is taken by the insurance company. Why? Because it was not paid. Okay, whatever it is, the family is going to get the benefit. The dependents will get 4 lakhs 97,000 in this particular scenario. Let's take scenario number 2. Okay, now even here, the thing is like the person has paid 5 years. So 5 years, naturally it is going to be 50,000. So out of 5 lakhs, 50,000 is paid. That means balance 4 lakhs 50,000 you were supposed to pay. Okay, for a duration of 1 month, if you calculate, it is around 417. Actually, not 417, it is 416.66 into 12. If you consider, it will be 5,000. Okay, so he has not paid for a duration of 1 year. In the previous case, it goes for a duration of 6 months. But here, as the years have increased, there will be a buffer time that is given to you, that is 12 months of time is provided. Okay, that means 5,000 rupees you were supposed to pay. You have got a benefit of 1 year time, but you did not pay, and the person on whose name the policy was there, he's dead. Then what happens? Same conditions is applicable. 2,500 plus interest. Okay, 2,500 for 1 year. No, it is for 6 months, isn't it? So 2,500 plus interest. So 25 plus 25, it's going to be around 5,000 rupees. So 5,000 plus interest will be calculated. Same amount, 4 lakhs 97,000, what you have will be applicable. Okay. So what is the difference in between them? There is a slight difference. The only difference is here you got a buffer time of 6 months in first scenario. In the second scenario, you got a buffer time of 12 months. Amount is same, but as the premium was paid for 5 years, that is the difference. Okay. All right. So that's about reassignment. Okay. Reassignment of your policy, that is, it will be active if you pay it within a duration of 6 months or within a duration of 12 months, depending on how much premium amount you paid. Okay, there can be a reason of not paying the premium. Suddenly the person has lost his job. Okay, so naturally he will not be able to pay the premium, or he's shifting from one job to another job. He's hopping from one job to another job. Even then, he will not be able to pay the premium, or sometimes he might forget to pay the premium. Okay, no insurance company will leave you just like that. They will be keep on giving you messages that your policy is due, like that. Messages will be prompted, but still assume that you missed it. So you can miss up to 6 months if you have already paid 2 years of premium, and you can miss up to 1 year if you have already paid a premium of 5 years. That is what it means. Okay, so it will be reassigned if the premium is paid promptly and it becomes active, or else it gets lapsed. It will be reassigned if it becomes active. How it becomes reactive is by paying the premium amount. Assume that the maturity has come or the death has happened immediately. Whatever is the amount, it will be paid by deducting the amount which was not paid along with interest. Okay. So life insurance policy. If you have a life insurance policy, you get a benefit. That is nothing but you can get a loan against your insurance policy. Okay, what do you mean by that? Assume that I purchased one policy on my name. Let us say life insurance policy, a simple normal life insurance policy, which is worth, let's say, 25 lakhs. So what I can do is I can take the policy, approach to banks, any bank where I've got the account, or I can approach to the bank in which I have got savings account or salaried account. Okay, and I'll say that I have a policy with me. Okay, and I want to get loan against it. So you'll have a talk with the manager, bank manager, and depending on how much of worth policy is there, let us sum that is assured, based on that a maximum of 80%, 85% or 90%, depends on the manager, he will be granting you the loan against the policy. It depends on the policies which are being considered by the bank. Okay, it is not that against all policy you will get loan. No, there are only few policies on which you will be getting loan. One among that is your life insurance policy. Okay, there is one more what to say, savings, you can say national savings certificate. Okay, which is I normally purchase that, and whenever I'm in need of money, I can just deposit that into bank and I can take loan against it up to 80%, and I can repay it. Okay, if I'm in a position to repay, I can repay it before it gets matured. Similarly, you'll also have life insurance policy which will have a deadline time, okay, where it gets matured. So before that, if you pay, you are allowed to pay, but definitely bank is going to charge some charges for that. It wants some benefit out of giving the money to you on loan. So normally it will be around 9% of interest, which will be in general on the loan that is granted against a policy, especially your life insurance policy. Okay, so 85% in case of paid up policy. Okay, you have paid, maximum payment is done of the premium, then you get around 85%. Maximum they can give you is up to 90%, depending on the rules and regulations that are followed by your manager, that is branch manager of bank. So if he's very close to you, if you know him, then definitely he can provide you up to 90%. Okay, but normally all banks will consider up to 85%. With an interest rate, it can be 9%. If he's giving you 90%, then he might take 10% of interest. It depends on the situation. So when you're paying this interest, they expect you to pay at least for 6 months. 9%, which is calculated or will be taken against the loan, they expect that you pay somewhere around 6 months minimum. Okay, you cannot clear it immediately. To this month you took a loan and you got a bulk amount, and normally what they say is no, you can pay it in installments or EMIs, monthly you can pay. And why? Because they expect you to give some interest on the loan that you have taken. So normally let us say you went in the next month and you said, no, I've got sufficient money, I want to clear it. So definitely they'll clear it, but only thing is like they might charge some additional charges, something like processing fees or whatever they want to say. They'll say that, and they will see to it that you're paying somewhere around 6 months of interest. That is what will be the target. Okay, as per the instruction given to them, they have to collect that 6 months of interest. It will not be much, maybe 1,500 or 2,000. That will be the one. So they'll calculate per day, and based on that, they'll be giving you the loan, and you are supposed to pay the interest that is being computed or calculated. So per day they'll calculate, and whatever number of days are there, they will see to it that you're paying according to that. Okay, so you can take a loan till the death of the person, the amount can be paid, or till the maturity of the policy, you can take up the loan. Okay, you get an option to pay it back, but it will be along with interest. Okay, so interest is more. Sometimes if you take it on national savings certificate, the interest is a little bit less because it is for the welfare of the nation. So the interest rate will be less. Okay, now assume that if I'm taking around on 1 lakh policy, okay, or national savings certificate, I've taken 80,000. So I end up, let's say I'm taking my own time to pay it back. So I'll not only pay that 80,000, on that I'll be paying maybe around 4,000 or 5,000 of interest I'm going to pay. That is one of the advantage of having a policy that is life insurance policy. You get a chance to take a loan against that policy. Okay, so assignment and transfer of insurance policy. Okay, assume that if you want to assign it to someone else, you have to do endorsement. Endorsement means your signature, your details and all should be given. Your willingness to transfer will be mentioned behind the policy, or a small document is prepared, a notification or sort of thing, or an affidavit, okay, or a note will be attached to your policy behind, which tells about that you have endorsed your policy to someone else. So that is what is called as assignment or transfer of insurance policy in others' name. Okay, you lose the ownership of it. So normally when you're taking a policy, we have got a person who will be referred as nominee. Okay, if you have a family, you're married, normally it will be your wife. Or if you're staying with your family members like mother, father, brother and all, normally what you do is you take it in the name of nominee to be your mother or father or your uncle who's a guardian. So you try to nominate them. Okay, or you might nominate even your brother, co-brother or anyone who's referred as nominee. Okay, so the policy holder of life insurance person should be the same to appoint or select a nominee. If I am the owner of the policy, I am the one who's paying. Okay, that same person should be nominee. Okay, the same person has got a right. He has got a right to nominate someone. Okay, so let us say I'm the one who's paying and the policy is on my name, so I can nominate someone who's going to get benefit if I die, something like that. Okay, so payer becomes a default nominee. Payer, he becomes a default nominee if he pays for the life of other person. Okay, now for example, you're taking a policy in the name of mother. Okay, you're the owner, so you have taken it in the name of mother and you're the one who's paying it. It is in your name, you're paying it, but you've taken it for the purpose of mother's life insurance. You're the one who's paying it. So by default, as you're paying it, you become the nominee of it. That is what it says. Okay, so nominee can be done at a later point also. Now today you have taken the policy, it's not necessary that immediately you should provide the nominee details. You can give the nominee details even at a later point of time. Okay, either you can attach a note to the policy or online you can provide your details that you want to nominate so and so person. Okay, or you can even personally write a letter to them or call and specify that for your account or for your policy, so and so person should be the nominee. Okay, and you have to specify even the relationship with him. Okay, whether it's wife or brother or sister or mother or father, you have to specify those details. Okay, which will be mentioned, they are properly endorsed behind the policy. Okay, so nomination can also be done, updated by calling internet or writing written communication to the insurer, to the insurance company. You can specify. If policyholder survives, okay, please listen this carefully. If you're the one who's surviving till the end of or maturity of the policy, then what happens is like the nominee, assume that you appointed your nominee, he cannot come and claim that no, I was nominee, I should get that money too. No, it is not like that. He will never know that he's a nominee. Okay, you're appointing someone as nominee, which is called as nomination process. Okay, let's say you have taken your nominee as your brother. Okay, now he cannot come and demand you when the policy gets mature that I am the nominee, so I should also get. No, it is you who has assigned that so and so person is going to be your nominee. But as you are still there, what happens? The role of nominee becomes nothing. It gets nullified. Okay, he does not have any rights over that particular policy. Okay, and the payout, whatever final payout is there, the sum that was assured, okay, the sum that was supposed to be received to the nominee will be received by you because you're still alive. Okay, so the policy holder will get the benefit. If anything happens, the legal heirs will get the benefit. Okay, or the nominee is not mentioned, the legal heirs, maybe his kids or someone, will be getting the benefit. That is what is called as nomination. Okay, claim settlement procedure. Now, whenever, assume that the person is dead, okay, the policy holder, that is insured, is dead, he's no more, then what happens is like the people who are there, who are the survivors, okay, they should claim for it. Okay, so the claiming process has got some systematic steps. Okay, that is, you have got claims which can be done at maturity, that is the end date, which is called as maturity claim. They can also be death claim. Okay, death claim means the person, the main rider of the policy, is no more. At that point, the claim can be made. Okay, so these are maturity claims and death claim. Normally, there is a fraud that happens here. Okay, in case of maturity, there is a date mentioned, so no chance of fraud. But whereas in case of death claim, maybe the accident would have been done purposefully, or maybe the person is alive, or on his name someone else is dead, so they took the body and they said that that person is dead and try to claim the amount, saying that it's a death claim. So there are chances. So there are chances of fraud, okay, in case of death claims. So there is a proper committee which comes into picture and analyze whether what was the reason of death and other details. Everything will be properly checked. Okay, you have got even double accident benefit claim. Okay, now along with your life insurance, if you pick up this policy, there is double accident benefit claim along with your let's say sum assured. 5 lakhs is what is the sum assured. Okay, and the premium that was fixed was yearly. It was like let's say 5,000 per year. Okay, so for that 5,000, 1 rupee would be added. Let's say 5,000, 1 rupee for every 1,000 means 5 rupees. So 5,000, 5 rupees is the amount which is paid to get double benefit. Okay, if there is an accident, if that occurs properly, it has to be specified that so and so was the reason because of which he met with an accident, and the cause of death was accident. So there'll be a double benefit to the dependents because of paying that 1 rupee extra. Okay, 5,000, 5 rupees is what the premium amount is going to be. Okay, so a proper FIR report, FIR is first information report, which is given to the police department where the accident has occurred. Okay, is required. Postmortem report is required to find out the cause of the death in accident. Okay, so these are the two things which are definitely required so that the claim can be considered to be a double accident benefit claim. Okay, then we have got permanent disability benefit. Okay, now assume that in that accident the person has lost his hand and a part of his organ. Okay, let's say leg or hand, or he's physically not able to perform any sort of actions or activities by which he can get some income source. Okay, so in that case also, what happens is like the insurance company will consider the case by looking into the critical stage of that person that he's not able to earn, and what they do is they waive off the premium amount. Okay, let's say he paid for 1 year and suddenly some accident happened and it was double accident benefit, and he had some injuries, severe injuries, because of which he is not able to walk, he is on wheelchair, and he is not having any source of income. The first thing that the insurance company will do is once they come to know is they cross check. Okay, by taking what FIR report, postmortem report, if the person is dead, if he's still alive, he checks, they check whether he's permanently disabled or not, and then based on that they consider that the premium amount would be waived off. Okay, so he paid roughly around 10,000, and the balance amount which he was supposed to pay will be waived off. He does not have to pay. Okay, plus he'll also get some benefits, some amount will be given to him so that he can lead his minimum survival. Okay, and the claim review committee is the main which is responsible. So there'll be a committee in zonal location. They'll find out the actual cause of the accident or death or whatever details they can accumulate and collect. They'll do that, and the central office is also there, which is going to give a final confirmation. Okay, whether it was a genuine claim or whether it was a fraud claim. Okay, so fire insurance claim is also there. Okay, just like life insurance, fire insurance also plays a very, very important role. Okay, so when it is fire insurance, assume that you have got crackers or something which is kept in a godown, and all of a sudden, because of some reason, there is a fire in the godown. Okay, your what is it, crackers are not having any damage. Okay, but because of smoke and because of excessive heat, they are not burning properly, so you cannot claim, because the what do you say, your crackers are still there safe, but it is not functioning properly, your crackers are not okay. So in that case, the smoke and excessive heat, you cannot claim for fire insurance. That is one of the conditions. Fire insurance means there should be a fire for your product or for your goods. Any other source which is damaging your product will not be considered. Only fire will be the one which will be considered. So how, you might say, like, how they come to know? They do a deep, in-depth analysis of it, and then they conclude what exactly has happened or what would have happened. Okay, they'll even check whether proper information was given at the time of purchasing of policy or not. Okay, so fire should be accidental and it should not be intentional. Negligence is covered, but loss due to any miscellaneous act, okay, will not be considered. Okay, if you're doing some act which is unexpected, then they considered under fire. But if it is found that you are purposefully doing it, then definitely fire insurance will not consider that particular claim. They'll just say that it is a fraud claim and they reject it. Okay, so kinds of fire insurance policy, we have got valid policy, predetermined price will be there on the value. Let's say 1 lakh worth policy, let's say goods you have, predefine the value of the policy and they fix the price. Then we have got average policy, mainly people who are having a running business. Okay, there might be a risk at any point of time. Let's say 10 lakhs worth of policy has been taken for fire insurance, but the goods are worth 15 lakhs. Okay, so you have considered it to be 10 lakhs. So on an average, they calculate the average and out of that, so 6 lakhs is the actual damage, and you'll get a claim of 4 lakhs. They'll do the average and they will see to it that you'll get the benefit up to some extent. This is called as averaging the policy. You've got even floating policy where the stock value keeps on changing. So depending on those changes, the value or the amount of claim is also different. Okay, that's about your fire insurance claim. Methods of taking fire insurance policy. Okay, you can take the policy from an agent, or you can select the policy, okay, from online. You can even fill up the proposal form when you're approaching to the insurance company, so that you can get an appropriate policy for fire. Okay, you have to do proper investigation of the property so that you can fix up your premium as well as make the premium from time to time as specified in the policy. Okay, so these are the methods by which you have to take your fire insurance policy. Procedures for settlement of fire insurance. So naturally, assume that if you're claiming, what is that you have to do? Provide the information that there was a fire. Instead of, if you don't tell, they will not come running to you and say that, okay, we are here to take care of your fire accident. No, you have to report about it. So submission of claim, a proper claim has to be made. So and there is a duration also. You have to report it within maybe 2 or 3 days. You have to report about it, so that the inspector is going to come and he's going to check your property, find out the cause, reason, and all other things. Okay, so an assignment of loss will be prepared by him, and the payment of the claim is done. If they find it to be a genuine claim, you'll be getting that particular benefit. Okay. Now there is one more thing. It can also be rejected. Rejection of claim. Okay, why? If they found it to be fraud, okay, or the loss was not covered by fire, they will not give you the claim that you make. Okay, defect not disclosed at the time of taking the policy. It was not told, but the event has happened. So in that case also it will be rejected. Okay, intentional loss will also not be accepted, to be rejected. Okay, no insurable interest. If both of them, one is not having an interest, so they will not consider that at the time of loss. Let us say there is a loss of something that has happened because of a fire, but I did not approach. I was not having interest to claim it. Then it will be naturally rejected. You did not approach them, so it will be considered that you were not interested in performing the claim. So they reject the claim if you approach at a later point of time. Okay. So they will properly do the investigation, and if they find it to be a genuine claim, they're going to give you the claim amount, or else it will not be accepted, it will be rejected. Okay. Then we have got insurance claim fraud and fraud prevention. Fraud is they do it purposefully. Okay, like for example, you take medical insurance. So if the medical bills are like fraud, repeatedly the same medical bill is projected. You had a talk with one of the what to say store, okay, medical store, and that is pharmacy and you had a talk with him saying that you give me bill, I'll give you some percentage of it. Okay, and they came to know that it was a fraud. Okay, fraud or repeated billing which was being done from a specific person. Okay, then what they do is they reject it. So they consider that to be a fraud claim. Okay, so claims which are for fraud, they'll be properly analyzed and it will be considered. Life insurance fraud will also be there. Okay, where the person is said to be dead, but he's happily enjoying his what do you say, life in some other place, in some other country. Okay, steps to prevent insurance fraud: you have to implement foundation framework, know that relevant information is provided, use data, proper detection should be done. Okay, review whatever was being claimed, they have to review it, adopt a particular approach, step-by-step approach. Okay, revise based on market condition and then accept the claim. Okay, if they came to know that it is fraud, immediately it will be rejected. Okay, now these type of policies are provided in even other countries too, like US regulations are, like here we have got IRDA. Okay, in the same way US has got NAIC, which is National Association of Insurance Commissioner. UK has got FSA, that is Financial Service Authority, which is replaced now by two new regulatory bodies, which is known as Twin Peaks. Okay, one is PRA, that is Prudential Regulatory Authority, and you've got FCA, that is Financial Conduct Authority. These two are there in UK now. Okay, who are basically framing the rules and regulations of policies. In South Africa, Roman Dutch law is the one which is accepted. In China, we have got China Insurance Regulatory Commission, CIRC, and there is that is CBRC, that is China Bank Regulatory Commission. Now both of them have combined and they came up with CBIRC, which is China Bank and Insurance Regulatory Commission. Now these are just for your information that you have got even other countries where you have got regulatory bodies who frame the rules and regulations, and they see to it that the insurance company grows and helps the economy to improve. Okay, at any point of time they generate revenue. Okay, so that's it. So this is what we have in unit number 2. So we are through with unit 1 and unit 2. It's a 2-credit paper and this is the end of unit 2. So I'm going to conclude my session here. Okay, important questions I have already given to you, just refer to that. Okay, and this is for only 40 marks, where I think you get around 1.5 hours of time. Okay, so that's it for the topic about insurance regulations. Okay, basically the paper focuses on what rules and regulations an insurance company follows, who is the beneficiary, who is the one who is the writer of the policy. Okay, how the policy is accepted as a proposal, how the claims are being made, if it is fraud, what they do. In this way they have tried to give you an exposure towards the different types of policies which are available and who's the one who's responsible, who have a total control over it. That explanation has been given so that you get an awareness of purchasing a policy. Okay, maybe your parents would have not purchased any policy, so you're the one who is the initial person. Assume that you're the first person to introduce the policy to your family members, so you should be able to convey them the message. You'll be able to tell the advantages of the policy, and you should also know each and every corner of the policy, like how the claim is made, how the fraud is being identified, so that these type of mistakes